Now. Here we go. So we got cum clause, right? Usually the cum comes at the beginning of the sentence. But Caesar wants you to notice this linking qui here, which talks about how about what just happened with the enemies surrounding the enemies having an advantage over Caesar's men. Okay, this is pluperfect subjunctive, right? Because of this ISSE. So you're going to say which, when Caesar had noticed so like when he came on the scene and noticed, he ordered the small boats, that's the Scophos, the small boats of the long ships likewise the spy boats to be filled with soldiers. Okay, so here's how you know that it's this is not indirect statement. Okay, because right, you could think you'd say he ordered that the small boats of the long ships be filled. Okay, because this verb, this infinitive, completes the action of ordered. So it's a complementary infinitive. Okay. And, let me add this. This right here is an ablative of means. And you're like, wait a minute, I thought that people couldn't be ablative of means. Well, he's using the soldiers as a tool or an object. Okay, so he filled them by means of soldiers. You can just say with soldiers. But he was like sending them rather than going with them. Okay, and go down here to this verb yet before you go to the relative clause. Okay, so, and he was sending aid to those men whom he had seen working. Okay, so the antecedent of this quote right here is he, so it comes after it. You could say, and those who he had seen working, he was sending aid to them. If you want to say it that way. In other words, he wasn't sending it to the men who weren't working. Okay. Our men okay, you usually see this simile as at the same time. Okay, but I think you can also say like as soon as. Okay, so our men, I mean, either way I think they would take it. As soon as they stood on dry ground, then you got an ablative absolute with all their own men having followed. Why did I say having followed instead of having been followed? It's deponent. Okay, good. Okay, and this goes together. This is an idiom. They made an attack against the enemies. And they gave them into flight. You could say they put them into flight if you want to. Nor were they able to pursue further. So this is a comparative adverb. And I think these dudes are talking about the British. Okay, because the horsemen had not been able. Okay, I know that had not been able because it has this U right here, the third principal part. I know that makes it pluperfect. Okay, because they had not been able to hold their course and to reach the island. Like to land on the island. Okay, so this next sentence, we have this de fuit, which is one of those compounds of sum. Okay, which is one of those special verbs that take the dative. So you could either say, it was lacking for Caesar. Well, hold on. You could either say, hold on. This one thing was lacking for Caesar, if you want to do it that way. Or you could say, Caesar was lacking this one thing to his previous fortune. I think one thing that's kind of interesting about this paragraph is, as Caesar takes action and steps on the ground, we go from like confusing grammar to like the verbs at the end, then the infinitive, then the accusative before it. You know, the subject's at the front. I don't know. I think that's kind of interesting to me about this particular passage. So that's something, if you wanted to write that in your essay, you could.